All right, so welcome officially to the Zoom room. Kim and Elaine, nice to have you back. So, I'm just going to have a look at today's teaching, today's email, the quote, and then that'll lead us nicely into our lesson for today. So, let me share my screen with you. Let's dive into that. Okay, so let me know when you can see the screen. All right, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Oh, so Elaine, if you can read that headline quote for the day, kindly for us.
Learning how to be still, to really be still and let life happen. That stillness can become a radiance. I have learned this from some of the great actors with whom I've worked.
Interesting, yeah. Morgan Freeman. So they're talking about stillness in acting. You wouldn't often think that, but he obviously saw it. Stillness, letting go of the need to control life and the inner radiance of awareness that shines from you when you're able to do this. So mentions the great actors he worked with had this quality, which implies is what made them great actors. So this applies in all areas of life, that the great performers are actually able to be still and access that that stillness even while they're doing whatever they're doing. Another famous actor and playwright said in one of his profound plays is Shakespeare. If you can read that one, Kim. All the world's a stage.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages.
And then I just thought I'd include the whole passage. Fancy reading a bit of Shakespeare? Do you want to read that at first? Shall I read it?
Okay.
I'll
read it. Oh, okay. If you want to read it. Okay.
You read it. Yeah, for it. At first, the infant.
At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwillingly to school, and then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballade made to his mistress's eyebrow, then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth, and in the justice, in fair round belly, with good capland, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose while saved a world too wide for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again towards childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends the strange eventful history is sickened, childish, and mere oblivion. Sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's taste, sun's everything.
So, what's Shakespeare saying here? Really, saying he's telling us the stages of our lives from a male perspective, of course, not the female side of things, but he's taking the an average male life at the time and saying, well, these are the stages that you go through, and that's still fairly accurate. Obviously, we might all have different careers. Not everyone's going to become a soldier or a justice, but these are just archetypes. Interesting. It's full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation. Isn't that interesting? The bubble reputation. So that's all about the grandiosity of the ego. Seeking to be perceived in a good light, even in the cannon's mouth. So even while you risking your life, you want the glory. And then the justice, sort of wise statesman, and then down into aging, and eventually, everything decays, become decrepit, you become demented, and then everything just falls apart. And those are the stages of life. Births and exits. That's exits are deaths, entrances are births. Many parts to play. So there's infancy, childhood, teenage years, early adulthood, mature adulthood, old age, and then a second childhood where both the body and mind disintegrate before their final exit of death. So it's quite an unflattering description of what seems to happen in the average human life under the control of the ego. But Morgan Freeman gives a more positive possibility of what we can choose to do with our lives within this seemingly depressing march to eventual death. Be still and let life happen through us rather than trying to manipulate and control our way through it like a character in an afternoon soapy, milking it for all its melodramatic potential as we blunder from one scene to the next. So if we choose this inner stillness that comes from our source, it can shine through us with a radiance that is noticeable, touches others with this grace. And this is what gives the quality of greatness. The great actors have it, the great musicians, great poets, great anyone has this quality. That's what makes them great. Stillness, the one thing that doesn't change in this world through all the life stages we go, the characters we play and the dramas we act out. It remains untouched by all these illusions, the same at our birth as at the hour of our death. However, it can't help us very much unless we allow it into our minds, which only happens when we let go of the need to control. So stillness is the source of what's been called flow in life. It allows us to play the starring role in the movie of our life with the effortless ease and grace of a great actor playing a lead role in a movie or one of Shakespeare's plays. So example of that, Sir Laurence Olivier, possibly the greatest Shakespearean male lead actor ever, was heard after a particularly brilliant performance as Hamlet, saying that he was both elated because of his amazing performance, and he was worried because he had no idea how he did it and wondered if it would ever happen again. So, well, how did I do it? I have no idea. It just happened. So this is how it works. The truly great performances in any area of life are never under our conscious control. So he's trained himself. Laurence Olivier had to go through years of rigorous training to become, a top Shakespearean actor. But then when he's in the performance, all of that just falls by the wayside, and it just happens through him. It happens through us if we can let go of needing to control the situation and thereby get our egos out the way. And so I want to just talk about the discussion, the 6 stages of development of trust. I sent out this yesterday, but it can be helpful in understanding this letting go process we all have to go through in life to consistently experience flow, which is really stillness or grace in action. And just you mentioned grace earlier in the context of Avatar. Ultimately attain enlightenment. So that the last scene of our life is just a graceful surrender into the stillness or grace that has been our constant companion through this human life, and will be our eternal home after it. And interestingly, because she dies in Avatar, that character, Sigourney Weaver's character, and she does have a moment of grace at the end. So for all of the, the tough outer shell, there is this, internally, there's this graceful being that then is shown itself in her final hour when she passes. And funny, she says early in the movie, I would die to see that tree, and she actually does die to see the tree.
It's true.
Yeah, I just see the movie about 3 times before I was like, oh, I get it. She says it early in the movie, and then she actually does. She does have to die to see. So that's a little thing that they've scripted in there. So in terms of this development of trust, I just thought it might be useful just to have a little recap of that, because this is a much more positive way of looking. This Shakespeare's stages are the ego's stages. It's all a bit depressing and dark, but if you reinterpret that, as the Holy Spirit can do, our life is actually about developing trust, and it's about our journey, our hero's journey to enlightenment. And there are these 6 stages, contrasting with Shakespeare's 7, 6 stages of awakening, which he talks about. So the first is the period of undoing, where a lot of the things that you valued before seem to be being lost. So often this requires that your circumstances change. As he says, the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seem to be external circumstances, which are often seemingly adverse. So good example, we were talking about Lynn earlier. Lynn lost her job twice in COVID, because of COVID, because she refused to take the vaccine, as far as I'm aware. So, but that was a change that was necessary for her to then start really start her hero's journey of awakening and doing what she loves doing, which is photography. So next, the teacher must go through a period of sorting out. So once you've had that change, you've actually got to really process it and decide now on the basis of things on whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. And so you have to learn that a lot of what you valued before was useless and valueless. And now you have to learn that actually, this change has been helpful. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. Only to this extent to which they are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them in this world of illusion. The world where value can apply to nothing else. So again, it's a letting go and accepting. These changes are always helpful. It's almost like, well, stage 1 you didn't quite get it, so you've got to learn it fully in stage 2. And then the third stage, a period of relinquishment. This interpreter is giving up the desirable will engender enormous conflict. Few teachers of God escape this distress entirely. So he's saying you're going to have some distress in this letting go process. As you give up the valueless, you learn that instead of sacrifice and loss, you actually enjoy a happy lightheartedness. You thought something was asked of you, a sacrifice was asked of you, actually find a gift is bestowed on you. So you start through the letting go to experience some of the benefits of it. And then number 4 is a period of settling down, stage 4, where you consolidate. It's a quiet time, you rest a while in, quote, reasonable peace. So he's saying, well, he knows this journey is difficult, and the peace may not last this stage, but it's reasonable peace, largely quite peaceful. and you start learning that actually this is your whole way out. Right? Yeah, that by letting go, this is the answer to everything. This is the way you're going to escape from the dream of this world. It's the way you're going to find the peace and the happiness that you yearn for. It has not yet come as far as he thinks. And yet when he goes on, he goes with mighty companions beside him. And he doesn't say, well, what those mighty companions are. They may not necessarily be human, although generally at this stage you would have met your kind of tribe and often be connecting with other like-minded people. But he may be referring to mighty companions that are incorporeal as well. So guides, angels, and so on. That's up to your interpretation. And so you're not alone. At this stage, the feeling of being alone is not there anymore. And then one more stage of unsettling, where you realize that actually you didn't know anything, you were clueless, all that you really read so far. In fact, someone else read that. I think I've talked enough. Kim or Elaine, do you want to read that? The next stage is indeed a period of unsettling.
Yeah. The next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. Now must the teacher of God understand that he did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. All that he really learned so far was that he did not want the valueless and that he did want the valuable. Yet his own sorting out was meaningless in teaching him the difference. The idea of sacrifice, so central to his own thought system, had made it impossible for him to judge. He thought he learned willingness, but now he sees that he does not know what the willingness is for. And now he must attain a state that may remain impossible to reach for a long, long time. He must learn to lay all judgment aside and ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. Were not each step in this direction so heavily reinforced, it would be hard indeed.
Yeah. So thoughts on that? What's he saying there?
Well, we've just got to put our judgment to one side. This is going to be a challenge, this stage. It's going to be unsettling.
It's almost like the final undoing of the ego. It's like, okay, you thought you got it, but actually you didn't really. It's interesting because I think I saw Sally go through this. It was like a period of reasonable peace and then a period of more unsettling. It's like, whoa, okay, so what does this really say? This teaching is saying all of it's got to go. Every last scrap of the ego system has got to go. Everything you valued before has to be let go of. To lay all judgment aside, ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. And so that's, what you really want is love in every circumstances. And not each step in this direction so heavily reinforced, it would be hard indeed. So again, he's saying you're not alone and you're going to get guidance and you're going to get help. That's the reinforcements to help you to attain the final stage, which is a period of achievement. I'm going to read that one, Kim.
Finally, there is a period of achievement. It is here that learning is consolidated. Now, what was seen as merely shadows before become solid gains, to be counted on in all emergencies, as well as tranquil times. Indeed, the tranquility is their result, the outcome of honest learning, consistency of thought, and full transfer. This is the stage of real peace, for here is heaven's state fully reflected. From here, the way to heaven is open and easy. In fact, it is here. Who would go anywhere? Peace of mind is already complete. And who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? What could be more desirable than this?
Oh, so what's he saying there?
Well, it's almost like it's saying we've arrived.
Yeah. You're living
yeah.
it. This is fully living the course.
Yeah.
You live it. You're consistent in your thoughts. There's real peace. You're pretty much in heaven anyway. You know, although you're still physical and you still operate in the world, this deep heavenly peace permeates through your mind and your life, and you have tranquility. You're saying, well, you know, what more would you want? Do you want to really trade anything else for tranquility and this peace of mind? So it's the final stage, which he's training us to achieve, period of achievement, and then beyond that, God takes the final step. You know, the training ends there because you can't go higher than this. This is living as an enlightened being in this world. And then when you're ready, God takes the final step. You let your body go and you merge back into pure formless oneness of perfect love. So this is the ultimate goal of the training, saying I can train you to be in the state through the learning and the consistency of learning, the transfer of these teachings to every aspect of your life, and then you'll be prepared and ready for the final full awakening is letting go of the body and merging back into your formless awareness of perfect love, and there's nothing else. So those are the 6 stages, which is the counter to the ego stages that Shakespeare talked about. This is the hero's journey leads to the awakened life. Ideally, in your final stage of life, you're in this period of achievement in the last decade or 2 or whatever, how long, is spent in a very peaceful, tranquil state, and you just really in heaven already, just ready for the body to finally be let go of, and you're there already. I mean, when Romano was dying of cancer, his disciples were sad. He said, well, what are you sad about? I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to remain as I am. He's so rooted in his true self, in his being. For him, the body disappearing, the body dying is pretty irrelevant. Wasn't important, because he knew that he was his true self, and that couldn't die. And he'd been rooted in that since he was 16. So he was okay. Well, it's time to let the body go now. He said to him, have you learned nothing from all the years of teaching? Because I'm not a body. My whole teaching has been that no one's a body. So why are you missing a body? That's just ego attachment to your own personal identity. Who misses the body of another? You do, apparently. Your separate self does. So we only struggle with death because of our identification with our own body and our own ego. Otherwise, it's just been like, well, it's just freedom for that person. That mind has attained freedom. It's let go of the body. It's in a freer state, much more natural. It's incorporeal state. It's very unnatural for a mind to be in a body. This is an illusory, unnatural state. And when the mind leaves the body, it's much closer to being in its natural state. So why wouldn't you be happy for that mind? should only be happy. It's just our egos that and go, oh well, something bad's happened, the person's died, and they're no longer there for us. They're no longer there in the physical, so we can't speak to them, touch them, feel them, converse with them, and so we feel lacking, and we feel like something's been lost, because that entity that was there in our life experience is no longer there. So it reminds us really of the lack and the loss and the sacrifice of the ego's thought system. That's why we get sad. But if you realize that you're not losing anything, it's not possible to lose what's real. You're just losing what was unreal. Body identification with the body, personal identity, everything involved with that, then what's there to be sad about? And maintain the peace of mind and the tranquility that are eternal in the face of whatever happens here, death, disaster, pain, suffering, all of that. You recognize it's just part of the ego's death wish, and death isn't true. Death is not real. So okay, so any other comments, questions, or thoughts on that 6 stages? Looked at it before, but it's given we just went through the ego stages, I thought it was an antidote to that. So let's go back to our email for today. That takes us into today's session, which is what's happening right now. And I recommend you watch Avatar if you haven't. So Elaine, the link's actually there. You can watch it free. You just click on that link, it'll open it up.
Okay, yeah, I'll try. Right, oh, that's right. That's great. Yeah, I'll do that.
You just have to deal with the ads. It pops up ads, and
that's no problem. Yeah, right.
Close the ads down, but eventually it does play. Or you can Amazon Prime, YouTube. Apple
TV. I've got the Prime, the Amazon Prime, so I could use that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
If you're a member, then you can watch it on your computer.
Will do.
Okay, so that leads us to today's lesson. There's just wanted to go through the there's an introduction to this series of lessons. So let's have a look at it, shall we? This is actually the introduction from yesterday, but you probably haven't read it, so just thought it'd be useful reading it, which will lead us nicely into the lesson. So every now and then, in between the lessons, he gives us these little kind of, it's coaching really. So okay, so this is where we are in the process. This is what's coming up. This is what you need to be aware of. And so it's more process than about the actual teaching. But that's very useful. So it's like any good course, he's giving us instructions along the way as to how to actually do his course. All right, so Elaine, if you can read our next few lessons. In the alternative, there's not very little to translate, so just read an alternative.
Our next few lessons make a special point of firming up my willingness to make my weak commitment strong and my scattered goals merge into one intent. I am not asked for a total dedication all the time as yet, but you are asked to practice now in order to attain the sense of peace such unified commitment will bring. Even if this is only intermittently, experiencing this makes it sure that I will give my total willingness to following the way the course sets forth.
Right, that just needs to be edited, but I can't because it's in the email. So I'll fix that in tomorrow's email. So yeah, any thoughts on that one? What's he saying in that?
It was quite, just straightforward. Just even if it is only intermittently, eventually, through experiencing it that way, you will have the total willingness to follow the course that it sets forth. Yeah, so a bit scattered, but you know, as time goes on and you get the experience, and you'll just wish to go forth.
I think what's helpful is he's saying, well, look, you know, he's not expecting you to be enlightened. And you might have weak commitment. You might still have scattered goals, but okay, you know, you're in a process here. And as you start experiencing more peace, you start wanting it more and more. You're saying, well, this course brings me peace, so why wouldn't I want to practice it? Why wouldn't I want to follow it, given the, you know, the sense of peace that I'm getting? And the more I experience the peace, and the more my willingness increases. And so that's practically, you know, how it goes. We don't just go to enlightenment all at once. It's like, yes, there's resistance and there's difficulties, but we start experiencing more of the benefits, primarily of which is, you know, peace, joy, happiness as well. The peace is like, you know, foundational happiness. Like, okay, without peace, you can't be happy. It's like the base level. So that experience helps us to learn that this course is true, that it works. And the more we do that from our own experience, we go, well, this makes sense. This is in fact the only thing that does make sense in my life. And the more I do this, the more peace I experience. So why wouldn't I want to really commit to this and, you know, really give this my total willingness? So he's talking about an experiential learning that, you know, will take us ultimately to that final stage we just looked at of the period of achievement, where we experience just peace, and this deep sense of peace and tranquility permeates, you know, our entire life. Okay, so then he says our lessons now are geared. Read that one, Kim.
Our lessons now are geared specifically to widening horizons and direct approaches to the special blocks that keep my vision narrow and too limited to let me perceive the value of my goal. I am attempting now to lift these blocks, even if only briefly. Words alone cannot convey the sense of liberation which their lifting brings, but the experience of freedom and peace that comes as I give up my tight control of what I perceive speaks for itself. My motivation will be so intensified that words become of little consequence. I will be sure of what I want and what is valueless.
Okay, so what's he saying?
So with these lessons that are coming after this introduction, just for specific blocks that keep our vision narrow, i.e. keep us blocked in terms of realizing the vision and the knowledge. So we attempt to lift these blocks, even if it's only for a short while. Is saying here, words alone cannot convey the sense of liberation. So it's an experience of peace. So it's going a bit deeper, less about the focus on the words, but more about the feeling and experience.
Yeah, and so as we go into the second half of the course, because we're about halfway through it now, 180 is halfway and 360. So he starts saying it's more about experiencing. You know, so some of the theoretical underpinnings are there. We've looked at the metaphysics. The first half of the workbook is really about undoing a lot of the way we currently think and perceive. And then the second part is more about experiencing quite deeply the benefits like peace and freedom and love and joy. So he's kind of starting that process now. And then part 2 of the workbook actually officially starts in about 35 lessons time, lesson 221. the second part, which has a distinctly different kind of structure and tone on the first part, which is why it's broken into two parts.
Yeah.
More experiential, less words. The lessons become quite short. They're just two short paragraphs, and then more about just pointers. You need a pointer to point you into the experience of peace. And so it's more like the sutras in ancient India. They used to teach in sutras. It's like a little short verse rather than a long tome. It was more effective, they found, for the spiritual seeker to focus on and then use that sutra to go deeper into their own experience and experience peace.
So when you say I will be sure of what I want and what is valueless, it's choosing the peace and love.
Yeah. Above all else, I want peace of mind. Peace implies that I must have love. I must be in unconditional love to experience peace. And on the foundation of unconditional love and peace, I can experience joy. Sometimes, joy. Eckhart Tolle said it quite nicely. He said, "Joy is like vibrantly alive peace." So it's like the joy just gets amped up a bit, and I go, "Wow, that's just another level of that, of that feeling." And that usually in this world isn't that sustainable. So it comes and it goes, and then you go back to peace. Well, that's not a bad state to be in. I'm peaceful by default. And then the fluctuations are generally upwards from peace. That's what you want, like a base state of peace. You don't go below that, and then anything is above that. You might experience deep bliss, ecstatic bliss, joy. These are emotions that can come on based on that foundation of peace. Okay, so the last one. You can read that one, Elaine.
And so I start my journey beyond words by concentrating first on what still impedes my progress. Experience of what exists beyond defensiveness remains beyond achievement while it is denied. It may be there, but I cannot accept its presence. So I now attempt to go past all defenses for a little while each day. No more than this is asked, because no more than this is needed. It will be enough to guarantee the rest will come.
Yeah, so what's he saying there? Giving us some very practical advice.
Well, just how to start the journey, which is beyond words. And first of all, concentrating on what still impedes our progress. So we attempt to go past all defenses for just a little bit each day, and not much is asked of us because there's no more needed. It'll be enough to guarantee the rest will eventually come.
Yeah, no more than this is needed. So he's saying, just focus the next 20 lessons on going past defenses for a little while. If you can practice and drop your defenses, which come in the form of resistance. You don't want to do the lesson, any fear thoughts, anxiety, resentment, attack thoughts, and so on. So just focus on these, because these are the blocks. And you, even for a little while, if you can just let them go in your practice period, a little while each day, that starts opening the way to this deeper experience of peace, saying no more than this is asked because no more than this is needed. It will be enough to guarantee the rest will come. So start doing it in these practice periods, and inevitably the mind will, you're heading in the right direction towards the ultimate state of being fully awakened, the period of achievement you looked at. No more than this is needed. So it's saying very simple, just practice and try to go past all these defenses for the short time that you practice each day. So that would include your longer practice periods, but then your shorter ones as well. So if you're doing the short ones every hour, or however many times in the day you can do it, that's another opportunity to go past the defenses. And in the breath breaks, that's exactly what we're doing. It's all, okay, bring it up. Notice whatever, is a defense, a negative thought or emotion, that's a defense against the truth, and then release it, let it go. And that's what they all do. You're just going past the defenses in that few minutes. And so that's the way that you can practice this. Just do the breath breaks frequently, ideally every hour. So then you're giving yourself 5 minutes or so every hour to go past all defenses and really apply this for 5 minutes of every hour. Okay, well, if you add that up and you do your longer practice periods in the morning and evening, you've got, let's say you're awake 16 hours. So you might do it, say, 14 hours times 5 minutes. You work that out. That's a fair amount of time. That's 4 5s, 14 times 5 minutes. It's over an hour. No, it's an hour and 10 minutes, I think. I'm correct. Hour and 10 minutes, plus you've got your, say, 15 to 20 minute longer periods. So you're doing about 2 hours then of meditation in the day. Going past defenses for 2 hours a day, well, that's going to start making inroads into the ego, isn't it? This is what he's saying. That's why I recommend you practice frequently during the day. Okay, so that's the intro to the lesson. Any comments, thoughts, or questions on that before we move on?
No, that's clear.
No, good.
All right, so let's have a look at today's lesson then, which is let's start another one. All right, so this is lesson 182. So, yeah, Mike, it's your turn. If you can read the lesson, the original and the alternative form, and then paragraph 1 for us.
Yeah. I will be still an instant and go home. I am still for a moment and go home.
Oh, so nice, very nice thought. Connect us with stillness, and he's really telling us where stillness, where home is. Home lies in the stillness within us. Okay, I read this in the alternative. Not much to translate there, very little. So you can read the alternative text for us.
The top you highlighted 3 lines. Just want to make sure.
No, this world I seem to live in.
Oh, okay. This world I seem to live in is not home to me, and somewhere in my mind I know that this is true. A memory of home keeps haunting me, as if there were a place that called me to return, although I do not recognize the voice, nor what the voice reminds me of. Yet I still feel like an alien here from somewhere unknown to me, Nothing so definite that I could say with certainty that I am an exile here. Just a persistent feeling, sometimes not more than a tiny throb, other times hardly remembered or actively dismissed, yet sure to return to my awareness again.
So what's he saying? What's he saying here?
So in our world that we hear is in what I touch, see, feel. Okay, now I'm confused. Okay, the world that we in that we touch, see, feel is what is not home to me. Somewhere I know this is true. So I think somewhere deep inside, and the memory of what's actually going back to truth keeps haunting me, calling me back to return, even though I don't really recognize it. There's some inclination or itchy feeling that that's where I belong.
And I think we all know what he means, as he says in the next one. It's like there's something inside of us that's not quite right. It's not, everything's not quite right here. And we all have a sense of that. But then people deal with that sense in a different way. This feeling, Morpheus in the Matrix expressed it quite well. He said it's like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. Something is not right about the world, but you can't say exactly what. Just a persistent feeling that it's not quite right. And we've all had that feeling, haven't we? Otherwise you wouldn't be on a spiritual path. Just some people explore that feeling and think, so why is that the case? And they start searching for answers, saying, okay, well, what's wrong then? What's the source of that feeling? Why do I feel discontented? Why do I feel not at home here? And answering that question is the spiritual journey. Many others just try and suppress it, distract themselves, as he explains here in this. He says various strategies for people dealing with it. So he goes into that in paragraph 2. So you want to read that one, Elaine?
Everyone knows what we are talking about, yet some try to mask their suffering with games they play to occupy their time and keep their sadness from them. Others will deny that they are sad and do not recognize their tears at all. Still, others will maintain that what we speak of is illusion, not to be considered more than just a dream. Yet who, in simple honesty, without defensiveness and self-deception, can deny they understand these words?
So what's he saying there?
Well, we all know underneath this, something missing. So there's some of us will hide it with games and, distractions, and just manage to keep their sadness away. And others deny that they're sad, but do not recognize what their tears are actually for. And then others will maintain that we speak of an illusion, not to be considered more than just a dream. So if we know it's just a dream, then we're on our way home.
Well, this is the ego's defense. It says, oh, this is all just woo-woo, this is all just nonsense. Spiritual stuff is
is of course,
yes. No substance there.
Yeah.
You're just dreaming, you're hallucinating. I mean, I've had to say that, and because that's the way that they defend the scientific materialism. Say, well, actually, only the world that I can see, feel, touch, and taste is real because my senses tell me it's real. So what he's highlighting are various defensive structures of the ego to defend against this disquiet. There's a feeling that everything's not quite right here is the beginning of your awakening to the truth. That's where it starts for every spiritual seeker. It starts with a feeling of disillusionment, disquiet. I'm not happy.
The thing is with like my family, they look at me as airy fairy.
Yeah,
that's what they call me, airy fairy.
Yeah, so airy fairy Elaine, and you're a bit woo and a bit kind of
mad.
Checked out. You haven't got your feet on the ground. My dad would always say, you need to get your head out the clouds and keep your feet on the ground. In other words, material. The ground is the material. Be rooted in this. This so-called reality, and
I was and you get told you're mad, or idealistic. I was always told I was idealistic. I thought, well, what on earth is it? I don't know what they're talking about, but anyway, you get all these things.
It's you have a higher vision than just the material. That's what they mean.
Yeah,
like you've got something else that you aspire to. An ideal is something you hold in the mind. Idea that you hold in mind. So the ideal of perfect love is an ideal. In this world, you don't see perfect love. Very, very seldom you see the perfect love demonstrated.
But they probably wouldn't want me in charge of like finances or important matters. So,
well, yeah, maybe not. So you can still operate in the dream world, and you can still
do absolutely
quite well. But now what's governing you is love.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a different motivation. It's not just the profit motive. It's actually, well, how can I add value to others? How can I help others?
Exactly.
My activity. That's okay. That's an ideal, but we all have to have ideals we live to. I mean, people say you're idealistic. You say, well, we all have to have an ideal to live up to, and otherwise, what's governing you? Your ideal might be, just having a comfortable material life, or making more money, or everyone's got something. Everyone is idealistic because we're all governed by ideas. So if someone says that, say, well, so are you. You've just got a different ideal from me. Your ideal is, you mentioned your sister. Her ideal is, well, lots of money, lots of material stuff. This is an ideal to live up to. So they are living up to an ideal, just opposite from your ideal.
Just a different
ideal.
Yeah.
Well, who's to say your ideal is more correct than mine?
Yeah. Well, I just keep out of it. I just keep out of it.
That's the question. If you look at, does that ideal, if you hold that ideal in mind, does that bring you peace? Does that bring you permanent peace? That's really the question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it doesn't, then that ideal is failing you. It's not the correct ideal.
True. Yeah. True.
So instead of defending, as he says, so many people spend all this time, games they play. Well, I mean, look at the games we play. We play games in our relationships. We play games like football and whatever other games to occupy our time. Keep our sadness from us. I'm watching a good football match, so I'm not sad because I'm behind my team, and then my team loses. Maybe I'm a bit sad then, but it's just football. So did you see? There's all distractions. It's a massive distraction from really confronting this disquiet in our mind, and the world is really just designed to do that. But it's a massive distraction from looking within. And that's why the ego invented it. Okay, so now you're going to go look outside of you for the truth, and you'll never find it there, which means that you'll never find it, which means that you stay in the ego's thought system and you stay away from pure formless awareness and perfect love forever. You see what it's done. That's its system. So he's just highlighting the ways that we defend that system. Some just deny it entirely. No, I'm not sad. And they distract themselves with stuff. I saw it in my previous, where I was staying. So lots of ladies out and about all the time, going to the ballet and then this and then this and watching TV. It's like, but it's just covering over her sadness. You could see that.
Right.
But not wanting, she's like, no, I just keep myself busy. Keep myself busy all the time. No, I don't think dealing with emotions is a good idea at all. Oh dear, okay. What can you say? But there's no resolution then of those emotions. They're just subconscious and they're repressed. They haven't been dealt with. And then it comes out in dysfunctional thought system and behavior. So really what he's saying to us is, look, don't play these games, don't deny, don't suppress, just be honest. This is when he says be honest, the quality of honesty is not just telling the truth about, whatever you've done. It's being honest with yourself. Primarily, honesty starts with yourself. Am I really honest with myself? Am I being defensive here? Am I deceiving myself? Or am I really willing to be honest and accept that all is not so well in my mind and in my life? So maybe I need to go out of this, uncomfortable comfort zone, and start a little bit more serious about my awakening. And that's the hero's journey. And the hero's journey in these movies always starts with the discomfort of the hero. They're not happy. They're not comfortable in their existing situation. So there's a call to adventure, to go and journey and do something different to change it. That's how it starts. Avatar, he's lost his legs. He's on Earth. He's not very happy. So okay, well, he gets an opportunity to go to Pandora. Okay, that's his call. You can change something by going. Well, what the hell? Life is just so mundane and boring that what have I got to lose? So he goes.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, definitely. You'll enjoy it, and Dave will probably enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to number 3.
Okay. Yes, Yeshua speaks today for everyone who walks this world, for no one is at home here. I go uncertainly about in endless search, seeking in limited awareness what I cannot find, not recognizing what it is I seek. I make 1,000 homes, yet none contents my restless mind. I do not understand, I build in vain. I cannot make the home I seek. There is no substitute for the state of pure formless awareness. All I ever made was victimhood and suffering.
Yeah, so the translations there are state of pure formless awareness is heaven, and hell is victimhood and suffering. So what's he saying there in summary?
While we're in this world, or in this limited awareness, we're not going to find what we're looking for here. Can go all over, try and make things good in this world, maybe on a material sense. He uses the analogy of 1,000 homes. So wherever we are, that's not going to be the home that we're looking for, this true home that's niggling, not in that way. The mind will continue to be restless. So you can't make the home you seek here. There's no substitute for what it is in truth, which is a state of pure formless awareness, i.e. the state of perfect love, joy, peace, which is what we're looking for here, but we won't find it here. So we'll carry on making what's on the ego level, which is victimhood and suffering. He only says the negative there. He only says the negative there, victimhood and suffering.
You
can enjoy the dream as well.
Yeah, well, remember, he has to get us out of our belief in it. So all I ever made was victimhood and suffering. But remember, when I'm enjoying the dream, that's not because of what I made. That's the qualification. What I made, my ego only knows victimhood and suffering. And it may seem otherwise, but actually, even if you're seeking pleasure, we looked at that in a recent lesson. You seek pleasure, it leads to pain. So actually, it's just part of the dream of pain and suffering. So the ego knows nothing else. If you can truly enjoy it, you're in joy, then you're doing it through the Holy Spirit, which is not what you made. Then it's the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation of what you made that's bringing you joy. You see. What you made is an unequivocal disaster. It's only the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation that allows you to make it a happy dream. But finally, leave it all behind. So he's saying you got to recognize that this is not pure formless awareness. It never will be, and you will never find what you truly seek here. What you seek is the state of pure formless awareness. Well, you're never going to find that in form. It should be self-evident. If it's pure formless awareness, there's no form to it. Pure awareness, there's no material, there's no form.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you're dealing with form all the time. Our world is made up of forms, body forms, all the stuff we've made. I mean, just look around the room. If you this is all projections of the mind, of the ego and mind, just making up all this stuff now projected outside and apparently in our reality. Extraordinary, really. But we've gone out of our minds and now into a body, into the world of form. And he's saying you're never going to find happiness there. The best you can do is have a happy dream by letting it go. By not attaching to it, you can experience happiness and peace. But that's because you're not attached to it.
Right.
See? So what we made was victimhood and suffering. None of this works. It's only designed to enslave us and hurt us and ultimately kill us. That's the ego. If you're experiencing genuine happiness and peace, it's because you've reinterpreted that ego's story and you're now perceiving it from the Holy Spirit's perspective, which is then not what you made. This is the giving the world that you made back to the Holy Spirit and saying, well, you reinterpret it and you show me how to perceive it and show me how to live in this for a while. The Holy Spirit's never going to keep you here forever. It says, okay, while you learn your lessons, you can have a happy dream. And the more you learn your lessons, the happier your dream will become. And that's okay. And that's the best thing you can do while you're here and you escape. But ultimately, it's taking you back to pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's its purpose. The memory of that state will take you back to that state fully and completely eventually. And that's a state with no ego. There's no form remaining. It's just pure formless awareness. None of the homes that you thought you made here really mean anything. Make 1,000 homes, yet none contents my restless mind. My journey over the last few years has been just learning that experientially. I've lived in I don't know how many homes in the last 3-4 years, many, easily 10, going on for 20. And it's like, well, none of them are home. That's what it's teaching me. None of it's really home. Ever go, right, I can rest, fully content there because things change. situations change, relationships change, and then okay, then I'm on my way again. But what it's teaching me experientially is that none of it's home. You can't rely on any of it. You never find your home here. Home lies in the state of pure formless awareness, which is with me always, if I choose for it to be. So I'm never homeless as long as I remember that, and I stay in that awareness. Then it doesn't matter where I go, I'm home. And I suppose that's what I've been. That's my particular curriculum, to learn that. So okay, well, you've got to go through this, undoing of any attachment to form by just, well, your home is with you. Wherever you go, there you are at home, irrespective of the physical environment you seem to be in. Whereas a lot of people in this world, their home is a big thing. Try and make it nice and make a home, and try and settle down, and they think that that's their home, but that's not. It never can be. But the illusion is, well, if you've stayed in it for 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 years, you start to believe that, don't you? That this is your home. Until it changes again. Well, it's never going to last, because at some point, often you get too old to maintain your home, so then you've got to move out, you've got to sell it. Nothing here is permanent, even if it's a long-standing family home for generations. Some of the people I house have for, they're just selling their family home. And they're selling a family. Her mum's just passed away, and it's like, okay, the family home's got to go. It's been in the family for generations. It's got to go now. And so nothing's permanent in this world, even if it's been there for hundreds of years. The one thing you can be sure of is it won't last. If it's in form, it won't last. Therefore, it's not real. This is the logic of the course. Anything that doesn't last must be unreal, and therefore ultimately valueless. It says simple decision criteria is it permanent? Will it last? If yes, then it's of value. If no, then it's completely valueless. Part of the illusion. But that's a simple decision criteria. Okay, any thoughts, questions on did that answer your comment?
Yes.
You only experience a happy dream because you reinterpret it. You're able to reinterpret
Okay.
it. The ego, even if it gives you seemingly nice stuff, it's actually still a dream of victimhood and suffering, because it's attaching you more to the illusion, and then once it's hooked you in nicely, it turns it around, says, oh, well, now we'll take it away.
Yeah.
So addiction is a classic. It seems to be nice, but actually it's enslaving you. You become more of a victim through your addiction, and then you suffer because of that. So it might seem to be nice to start with, but actually it's victimhood and suffering. It's just the upside of victimhood and suffering. It doesn't seem like it, but it actually is. If you have the spiritual knowledge to perceive it correctly, you see that pain and pleasure are the same thing. If you seek pleasure, then you're actually inviting pain into your life. And again, we see that played out in people who do see, if they dedicate their life to seeking pleasure, they're normally addicted to something or more than one thing. Addicts don't find lasting peace and happiness because the addiction doesn't give them that. And they can try as they like to try and find some kind of permanent happiness there, and it's never going to work, because there's an upside to an addiction, and then there's a big downside, and they're on the roller coaster ride there. And it's only when they say, okay, I've got to get off that and find a more stable state of just being at peace, that they start to heal their minds. Equanimity, they call it in the Buddhist teaching, to find equanimity rather than the ups and the downs. As Shakespeare said, seeing as we talked about Shakespeare, there's slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. He called it in Hamlet, I think. Slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. So up and down we go, and most people are, because they're attached to to the world of outrageous fortune, they up and they're down. There's no,
Yeah.
no. Okay, so number 4, Elaine, if you can read that one. Perhaps I think it's my childhood home.
Perhaps I think it's my childhood home that I want to find again. The childhood of my body and its place of shelter, or a memory now so distorted that I merely hold a picture of a past that will never happen. Yet there is a child in me who seeks its source state and knows that it is not at home here. This childhood is eternal, with an innocence that will endure forever. Where this child shall go is the innocent ground of being. It is its innocence that is integral to the state of pure formless awareness, and that brings the pure reflection of pure formless awareness to earth, in which earth disappears into pure formless awareness, and only the state of pure formless awareness remains.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
Well, just about our childhood, thinking our childhood home is what we want to find again, which of course is never going to happen. And we think of the body as the child being sheltered, but the memory is so distorted, which again is never going to happen. But the real child in me is in my source state. This childhood is the eternal, the innocent. So leading us to pure formless awareness.
Yeah, it's quite a nice analogy, isn't it? There's a child in me. He's talking about home and, childhood. So he's using these analogies to be familiar with in our human experience. So we're like a child who's kind of lost its way, and now it's time to go home. Thinking of that parable of the prodigal son that Yeshua told, which is one of his most profound parables, in my opinion. So the child leaves home, takes his inheritance, squanders it, ends up living with the pigs in a very lowly state, as victimhood and suffering, having done it his way, and then goes back, returns home, and instead of being punished by the father, is welcomed. Welcome home. It's a great story. So there's no sin, there's no judgment, there's no sin, there's no guilt. You just, you welcome home to this state of innocence and grace, which you departed from temporarily, but, has been there all along. That your home never disappeared. You just wandered away from it and thought you had a better idea of how you could live. And then in the prodigal son story, the child comes back and is ashamed. It thinks, oh, well, I'm not worthy of my father. And the father, being, unconditional love, says, welcome home. I've missed you. Welcome home. There's no anger. There's no recrimination. It's just, you welcome back. Beautiful story, really. That indicates the nature of this state of pure formless awareness, or grace, which is unconditionally loving and always welcoming. It doesn't say, oh, well, you've sinned and you've squandered your wealth, and you're okay, well, you're in the dog box now, and you've got to be punished, and you're no longer my son. I've disowned you. It doesn't say that. It just says welcome, welcome back, as though you never left, because in truth you didn't really leave. What left was an illusion of yourself, departed, went journeying, wandering on its crazy way, in its insane ways, and suffering and dying, but actually nothing really happened. state of pure formless awareness has always been, as exactly as it always was. Just you haven't accepted it. And now it's time to accept it back into your mind. Okay, any thoughts on that tonight? Any other comments, questions?
No, it's a nice paragraph.
Yeah. Okay, Kim, number 5.
It is a child in me that my source knows as its own extension. It is this child who knows its source. It desires to go home so deeply and unceasingly that its voice cries to me to let it rest a while. It doesn't ask for more than just a few moments of respite, just an interval in which it can return to breathe again. The innocent air that fills the source's home. I am its home as well. It will return. So I give it just a little time to be itself within the peace that is its home, resting in silence, peace and love.
The translations there is instead of son, we've got extension and father is source. The father and the son become the source and its extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's he saying there in summary?
Well, if we all have this, if we're an extension of source, i.e. we all, our true self as the child, we're asking for a few moments to return to that state.
Hmm.
And recognize that it's that feeling of innocence and love, to be at home with source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in these moments, of our spiritual practice, and we go home, it's a miniature version of heaven. You connect with a deeper awareness, you find that peace. It's a little taste of heaven. And he's saying the more you do that, the more your mind starts to remember that state and go, oh, okay, so that is available. In fact, it's right here, right now. It's so available. How could I have missed it for so long when right there, it's in my awareness. Anytime I want, I can drop into that state. So why wouldn't I want to stay there all the time? And so this is how experientially we start learning truth. That we are that state. We are peace. We are love. We are joy. That's our home.
Yeah. Very comforting.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's so blindingly obvious, and yet we haven't seen it. That's the extraordinary thing. It's right there. It's your own awareness that's been with you forever, and yet you've denied it and you haven't been aware of it. And your mind's been preoccupied with all kinds of other things in the so-called external world, and you haven't been aware of your own awareness, who you really are. Which is extraordinary, and yes, you're saying that's just insane. How can you not be aware of who you are? Surely that's the only thing you can be aware of, who and what you are, because that's your source, that's your foundation. How can you be aware of something else than that? Is that really possible? And he's teaching us that it's not really possible. It's an impossible dream that you're living in. And the impossible dream doesn't work because it's impossible. Talked about inception earlier. Remember the impossible staircase? Quite interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it doesn't work. It's impossible. It can only work in a dream, which is completely distorted. It doesn't really work in reality. Okay, any other thoughts on number 5?
No, nothing else.
Number 6, Elaine, if you can read that for us, please.
The alternative.
Yeah.
The child needs my protection. It is far from home. It is so little that it seems so easily shut out, its tiny voice so readily obscured, its call for help almost unheard amid the grating sounds and harsh and rasping noises of the world. Yet it knows that its home still exists within me. I will not fail it. It will go home, and I will go along with it.
Okay, so what's he saying to that one?
Well, the little child that is here now is hard. It's just a little shut out creature that's obscured and unheard. And, you know, through all the harsh noises of the world, and yet deep down we know that our home exists within us and it won't fail us. That's where we get our protection, rather than this here in the separate self.
Tiny voice. That voice should probably be capitalized. So this is the core. We can never forget. We can never forget this child within us, which is our true self. Doesn't matter what the world seems to do. And because of that, we will never be content in this world. Because of that, as long as we're in this world, there will be the splinter in our mind. It's like everything's not right here. You see how there's two sides of the same coin. The splinter in your mind and the discontent are the memory of something else, another state that's completely transcends this one. Okay, can we go on to number 7?
This child is my defenselessness, which is my strength. It trusts in me. It came because it knew I would not fail. It whispers constantly of its home to me, for it would bring me back with it, that it itself might stay and not return again where it does not belong, and where it lives as an outcast in a world of alien thoughts. Its patience has no limits. It will wait until I hear its gentle voice within me, calling me to let it go in peace, along with me, to where it and I are at home.
Okay, what's he saying? What's he saying in summary?
So this child is representing my defenselessness, meaning not the ego self. And that defenselessness is my strength because in defense, that blocks me to my source. So it's persistence. It knows that I won't fail. So it deep down, it knows that I will go back home and I'll recognize that the world that I'm in it's not the true home. This is alien to me.
Mm.
And it's very patient.
Mm. You can never lose it, which is nice, so it's always going to be there.
Mm.
Just remind you, in your darkest hours, it's there. What we'd call the light. It's there's some hope. If it weren't for this voice, there'd be no hope in this world. Well, it's just flatland scientific materialism. You live your life of various ups and downs, and you suffer, you age, you die, and that's it. End of. Not a very inspiring reality at all. And this says, but there's something else. Remember, wake up, remember. It's eternal. You can never lose it.
Yeah.
So even if you've spent your whole life systematically denying it, that doesn't matter, because in one instant, in one moment, you can awaken to it and it can come back. And there's been many cases, where that happens. Sudden epiphany, and people just awaken and they're like, I've missed this my whole life. Eckhart Tolle, good example. 29 years of hell, victimhood and suffering, and then boom, because that voice is still there, it helps him to remember, cracks open his mind, and he realizes that whole self that he thought was him was not real. Byron Katie, another one, 40 odd years of victimhood and suffering. And suddenly she's like, wow, actually, I still have that awareness. It hasn't gone away. And just in a holy instant, as Yeshua calls it, a holy aware moment, it comes back. And she's just suddenly aware of her awareness. She's like, oh, wow, this is incredible. It's amazing. So where did her awareness go for all those years? It was still there. It was just buried under all of her egoic thoughts and emotions that prevented her from accessing. And she has a moment of grace when it's just like revealed to her. She was sleeping on the floor, actually, bizarrely. She didn't even feel like she had a bed, but she didn't feel like she was worth even sleeping in bed. So she was sleeping on the floor next to the bed. How's that for lack of self-esteem?
Yeah.
And then she wakes up one morning and there's a cockroach crawling on her foot or something. She looks at it. That moment takes her into just a pure awareness without judgment. She suddenly kind of got this: the cockroach and me are one. It's like life, that it's the same life, it's the same awareness. And she wasn't scared and she wasn't repulsed or anything. She just like observed it in the state of pure formless awareness. And she looked at herself in the mirror and went, who's looking in the mirror? Who is this person actually looking? So that awareness had been there all along, but it was just buried. And it took her going through a lot of pain and suffering to finally like reveal itself and be, and then she awoke to that awareness. And that moment was transformational, changed her whole life. From that moment on, her life was completely different. Having just those few minutes of intense awareness, presence. completely game-changing. So this is what he's talking about. You know, when you're still an instant, a moment of this stillness, this grace, can be completely life-changing. Okay, so number 8.
I will hear its voice when I am still for a moment. The world recedes from me, and valueless ideas cease to have value in my restless mind. So poignantly it calls to me that I will not resist it longer. In that wholly aware moment, it will take me to its home, and I will stay with it in perfect stillness, silent at peace beyond all words, untouched by fear and doubt, sublimely certain that I am at home.
Okay, what's he saying there?
When we're still for a moment, and the restless mind ceases, in that wholly aware moment, it takes us home in this perfect stillness, beyond all words.
And one moment of that is life-changing. One moment of that. That's why he says a moment, you know, an instant, a moment. Just touching that once in your life can completely change your life. Called an epiphany or a revelation or a moment of satori, they call it in the East. So he's pointing us to that possibility, saying, well, be open to it. And maybe it will come, maybe it won't, but at the very least, if you practice, you become more likely that it will, you know, more accident prone. Enlightenment is an accident, but spiritual practice makes you more accident prone. And just you know, by doing the spiritual practice, even if it's not an epiphany, it's quite peaceful. And it's okay, well, I'm at peace. Relatively, my mind's calming, it's quieting, and I can experience some sense of peace. That's the start of awakening. Okay, any other thoughts on number 8? Let's move on to number 9.
I rest with it frequently today, for it was willing to become a little child so that I might learn from it now how strong it is who comes without defenses, offering only love's messages to those who think it is their enemy. It holds the might of the state of pure formless awareness in its hand, calling them friend, and gives it strength to them so that they may see it wants to be friend to them. It asks that they protect it, for its home is far away, and it will not return to it alone.
And what's he saying there?
What I'm reading is the child's coming from source that I rest with frequently today. So finding those moments, those instant moments of that peace, love, and joy, which does, because the child doesn't come with defenses. And it's very powerful, even though it doesn't come with defenses. Powerful in terms of love. And gives it, and comes with strength. And although it's there, even though home is far away, meaning source might be far away, it's coming with its strength and power and defenselessness, even though it's in this strange alien world. And we're not alone.
Yeah, so as you said, it's very comforting. Okay, well, I'm not alone, and there is hope. I will find my way home. You know, this is the guarantee. Saying, well, this child in you will show you the way home, and that's inevitable. It's a done deal. It's just got to play itself out in time.
Yeah.
That's your life experience playing out, but there's something in you that's awoken, otherwise you wouldn't be here tonight. That's saying to you, yes, this is the truth. I know this to be true. This resonates with me, and yes, this is worth my time, my energy, my effort, my attention to practice, study, experience more of this. Because this is what's going to save me. This is what's going to free me eternally, and in moment by moment, it's going to help me have a happier dream. So I'd rather, spend my time doing this than watching mindless TV or doing whatever else people do on Sunday night.
Yeah. Indeed.
Because you asked, what did you do? Would you spend 4 hours on a Zoom call? Like, what? What are you doing? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay, what else are you going to spend 4 hours doing? There's lots of other stuff to do, but it's all just distractions from the truth of who you are. And, why not spend the time just immersing yourself in who you are and really connecting with that, reminding yourself of that. So you deepen your experience, and you set yourself up for a better week because of it. Okay, so Christ is reborn. So Christ is my true self. That translation. Elaine, if you can read number 10 for us, please.
My true self is reborn as just a little child each time a wanderer chooses to leave their seeming home in this world. For I must learn that what I want to protect is only this child, who comes defenseless and who is protected by defenselessness. So I go home with it from time to time today. I am as much an alien here as it.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
Well, our true self is reborn. So from time to time, we go home to get a taste of it.
You see why the regular practice is so important.
Yeah.
From time to time today. So just dip into this. It's always there, but you're likely to forget it. If you don't dedicate time to practicing, it's very easy to forget it. And then your mind gets consumed with the things of the world.
Yeah.
The breath breaks are designed to help you to top up your tank of presence. Go into it, experience it. And because the more you experience it, the more you go, well, it's of course it's there. How can I doubt it? I'm experiencing it frequently during the day. Yeah, that's why it's nice to practice regularly. A big theme of this one is also, again, defenselessness. We've looked at that before. You see how these themes repeat, but in a few lessons on being defenseless. Lesson 135 actually is the longest lesson in the course. Then there's another one in 153, and I think he looked at it again, obviously in the review. So it's a theme that comes up again and again. You know, be defenseless. Because when you're defenseless, and you don't believe in the ego's story of fear. Fear and defensiveness go hand in hand. You fear something, then you get defensive. Okay. So here's number 10. So in 11. Kim, if you can read that.
I take my time today to let go of my defensiveness, judgments, and attack thoughts towards an enemy without existence, which are valueless.
Actually, just read this one in the original, because there's a bit of translation that I've done. So you'll see that. The original is sort of more analogous, using imagery. Translates into what it means. So just read it line by line in the original and then go to the alternative.
Take time today to lay aside your shield, which profits nothing, and lay down the spear and sword you raised against an enemy without existence.
Yeah, alternative.
I take time today to let go of my defensiveness, judgments, and attack thoughts towards an enemy without existence, which are valueless.
So the shield is the defensiveness, symbolizes defensiveness, and then spear and sword are judgments and attack thoughts. Again, that's my interpretation, but fairly clear that those are instruments, weapons of attack.
Yes.
So, what attacks? Judgments and attack thoughts. Or what attack?
Yeah.
So just making it explicit. I mean, the imagery is lovely, but I think sometimes people read the imagery and they're not quite sure what he's talking about, or it's not explicit enough. They don't necessarily understand, what he's actually talking about is your defensiveness, your judgments, and your attack thoughts. So I've just spelled it out. All right.
Okay. Christ has called you friend and brother. My true self has called me friend and companion.
And you can read the rest in it. So it's just that first one, and first couple had some translation.
It has even come to ask my help in letting it go home today, completed and completely. It has come as does a little child who must beseech its father for protection and for love. It rules the universe of truth, and yet it asks unceasingly that I return home with it and value illusions no more.
Okay, so universe of truth, I've just translated. He says he rules the universe. But when he talks about universe, small u, which is confusing, they should really capitalize it. He's talking about the universe of truth. It's not this material universe. Talking about another reality, reality, truth. So I've capitalized it, universe of truth. not the physical universe, the cosmos.
Mm.
A lot of people get very confused with that, because he doesn't use universe often, but a few times in the course he uses this term universe, and then because of our conventional understanding, most people think, oh well, that's the material universe, physical universe, time and space, and stars and galaxies, and etc. But actually it's pointing to the universe of truth, which is the other reality, which is governed by love, rules the universe of truth.
Okay, so I'll read that.
Mm-hmm.
It rules the universe of truth, and yet it asks unceasingly that I return home with it and value illusions no more.
It was asking me to return home to the universe of truth, with it where it belongs, where we belong.
Yeah.
Reality. Which exists underneath this one. The ground of being is another word for the universe of truth. It's that fundamental, foundational reality that underlies this whole perceptual world. Base reality. I think Elon Musk actually called it base reality at some point, and he said, well, the odds are billions to one that this is base, that we live in base reality. Which is quite profound, stated in mathematical, scientific terms, because that's probably the way he thinks a lot. But still, there's an insight into the truth there. The odds are billions to one that this is base reality. Why does he say that? Well, because if you look at what goes on here, and you look at the perceptual world, and you look at all the theories, it points us to another reality. That's where it's all headed. The scientific knowledge has led us, whichever track you follow, has led us to the point of having to at least acknowledge the possibility of another reality. And now you've got superstring theory, and they talk about multiple dimensions. So that's the one. Quantum mechanics is one sort of branch. Theory of relativity, that's another aspect of science, which really says that everything's relative. There's no absolute truth here. Everything's relative. Quantum mechanics says, well, there's no reality in the absence of observation. And you've got these multiple different seeming realities potentially going on, but none of it really is real. It only becomes real when you perceive it. So this is why Elon Musk says, but the odds are billions to one that we're in base reality. If you look at cosmology, another sort of stream of science, that points us to time zero. Before the Big Bang, what was there? And as they admit, well, at time zero, we got no idea. Have no idea whatsoever. All of our ideas and models break down at time zero. Oh, well, okay, so now you're talking about eternity, time zero, no time. Base reality, something beyond just, this physical universe. But, we don't explore it, they don't explore it, because they're too obsessed with trying to figure out this one, explain how it all happened. That's really what science does. Science is the how-to. How did it happen? The more interesting question is, why did it happen? That's a philosophical question, see. But that takes them out of the domain of science into philosophy, which makes them uncomfortable, because they no longer then have any authority. What gives them more authority in the philosophical world than anyone else? Because now we're just dealing with ideas. And all of your degrees and mathematics and everything you've studied falls away there. Which is why they don't really go into it. I listened to a talk, a quantum physicist, and he said The one most interesting thing he said was at time t equals 0, all of our models don't apply. They break down, and we cannot say what anything. We don't know anything. But he didn't pause for breath. He just carried on. So, you know, as Winston Churchill said, men stumble over the truth from time to time, but most pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing had ever happened. That's exactly what happened. Hang on, you just stumbled over the most profound truth there. At time 0, you have no idea anymore. So maybe if you just contemplated that, then you might go into time 0, the timeless state, and experience it for yourself. And then you would see the truth. Then you would perceive the truth. But the mind just goes, oh, no, just cover over the truth and we'll just carry on trying to find truth within the illusion. That's what quantum mechanics, and in fact, all science is trying to do. They're trying to find truth in the illusion. And they will fail. They'll never find it. As Einstein found, you know, probably the most brilliant mind scientist of all time, he became a philosopher at the end of his life. Because it's like, well, I can't find it there. He was looking for the grand unified theory, i.e. oneness, unity. But he's looking within the universe of time and space. He couldn't find it. And I think he became much more philosophical because of that. Because like, well, I can't find it in there. So maybe there's something beyond this world. Okay. Any thoughts, comments, or questions on any of that? Universe of truth as opposed to the false universe, which would be small u.
No more thoughts.
Okay. So last paragraph, if you can read that.
I have not lost my innocence. It is for this I yearn. This is my heart's desire. This is the voice I hear, and this the call which I cannot deny. The innocent child remains within me. Its home is mine. Today it gives me its defenselessness, and I accept it in exchange for all the toys of battle I have made. And now the way is open, and the journey has an end in sight at last. I am still for a moment and go home, with it to be at peace for a while.
Such a simple lesson, really, but so profound.
Mm.
And what's he saying in number 12?
Well, we haven't lost our innocence. It's something we all yearn for. It's our heart's desire. And this is the voice we want to hear. And if we're still for a moment, we can go home and we can get that peace for a while. We don't want to be in the toys of battle that we have made ourselves.
Yeah. Toys of battle is the forms of this world, which we get so attached to. People fight over these toys. I mean, this is why he's got the child, the toys of battle. You know, it's very well done, because you've got the whole child analogy running through the whole thing. You know, so hence the toys of battle. And he's really saying, grow up. You know, it's like get over this. The toys of battle, which your ego values, but are really just ridiculous. Very insane. You look at, you know, when we've got a war going on in the Ukraine, but it's just toys of battles. These grown grown men playing, like children. No, I'll have that. I want that. It's mine. Okay, let me go get it. It's bizarre. Same kind of stuff that happens on the playground, except, now it's amplified up because it happens at national level and you've got, countries and armies and so on involved. But it's the same thing. Where's the battle? Okay, so it's a bit of a summary, quite short. Let's read the summary to summarize this, and then can do a meditation on it if you like. So, Cameron, if you can read that one.
I fell out of place in this world and haunted by a memory of a true home that I can't quite recall. I have a faint yet persistent longing for this seemingly lost state and know that others experience this too, even if they deny or dismiss it. Everyone is relentless, searching for contentment in this world.
Restlessly was the word.
Oh, sorry. Everyone is restlessly searching for contentment in this world. But all my attempts to create a substitute for a state of pure formless awareness result only in a limited awareness that is disturbing to my peace of mind.
Yeah. Well, what's he saying there?
And we feel out of place, but we've got this persistent longing for something that's probably always there, but we've forgotten about. We're restlessly searching for something, but in the wrong place.
Yeah. And this world is just a substitute for this state of pure formless awareness that we long for. Okay, second one. Elaine, you can read that for us.
This is the eternal child within me, which is my true self, who seeks to return to my source, which is a state of innocence or grace. This child desires to experience the peace and unconditional love of its true home again, which is within me as well. This child trusts in me for protection and guidance, and its patience is limitless as it waits for me to recognize it.
It trusts in me, this child. This was done by AI, so I can understand why it got a bit confused. Because the child is normally what you would trust, but this child offers me its protection and guidance. Patience is limitless as it waits for me to recognize it. And what's he saying there? Summary.
Well, there's the eternal child within us. And this child desires experience of peace and unconditional love of its true home again. And the child offers me its protection and guidance, and its patience is limitless as it waits for us all to recognize it. It's there, so we just need to recognize it.
Invite it in, and you do that in these moments of stillness. As I can experience moments of stillness. This is how you do it. In the stillness, you invite this presence, this child, as he refers to it, in. Cameron, if you can read the next one, please.
I can experience moments of stillness when the world recedes and I hear this child's call to return to the state of pure formless awareness in which I am untouched by fear and doubt. Resting in this true self allows me to realize that I offer only unconditional love and call others friend, even those who think of me as an enemy.
Call everyone, shall we say, call everyone a friend, even those who think of me as an enemy. So, it's the teaching of, forgive your enemies and love your enemies. Yeshua taught. He said, easy to love your friends, but can you love your enemies? Because that's a test of unconditional love.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
You have to let go of your identification with your form. The enemy happens in form. You've got another person who's seemingly outside of you, another person, they're a body, you're a body, they've got separate interests from you, and those interests seem to be opposed to yours. You call them an enemy. But all of that is part of the construct of separation, i.e. ego, which you let go of by offering only unconditional love, which simply says, well, none of that's true. And we are the same. We are the same child. We are the same, come from the same awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, which unites us. So you can't be an enemy. You can only be my friend in truth. Because we are one in truth. That makes sense?
Yes, it does. I mean, if we experiencing or being true love, we have to be loving to everyone, all our brothers.
Mm.
Mm.
And especially if there's, not good feelings, if you're tempted to make them into an enemy, which is what the ego tries to do, because it splits your mind, doesn't it? You've got an enemy, now there's something other than you. You're in the idea of separation. So the ego loves enemies for that reason. So always trying to make an enemy. On a personal level, this happens in personal relationships, that happens on a bigger level. Whole societies, countries now have enemies, because that makes the separation real. If we're all one, then how can we have an enemy? It's not possible in perfect oneness. There can only be friends. So all these games, the toys of battle that he mentioned, are just the ego's attempt to maintain itself, keep itself going in the face of the truth, which is unconditional love. Okay, so the four last paragraph of the summary, of the full summary, and then we'll just do the key message.
I choose to return my true self and let go of defenses and illusions. I accept that I haven't lost my eternal innocence, and the longing I feel is a call that I cannot deny longer. By letting go of my defensiveness, judgments and attack thoughts, and embracing my defenselessness, I can follow the path of awakening and find lasting peace of mind.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
Well, we can choose to return to our true self and let go of all defenses and illusions and accept our eternal innocence, which is what we've all been longing for. And just letting go of judgments, attack thoughts. And we can then follow the path of awakening and find lasting peace.
yeah, very comforting, and but also telling us how, you know, you must let go of your defensiveness. If you're fearing anything, you're feeling defensive. We know what that feels like. That splits your mind. You must let go of your judgments, which are you know, really attack thoughts. When you judge anything, you're actually attacking its true reality. This person is this. We say this person is this person is that. This person's done something, so therefore they're that. We do it all the time. It's a judgment. What you're really doing is attacking them and attacking your own reality. You're attacking the innocent child that you are and telling yourself that you're something else. So that's why all attack is self-attack, because you're attacking your own identity. And true identity, your Christ self, the little innocent child, which can't really be attacked. So it just continues, but it's covered over, it's obscured. It's still there, but it has to wait for your acknowledgement to be of any use to you. Otherwise, it just remains buried, and buried, it's as though it's not there. Which is why, you know, most people live their lives sleepwalking through life. Okay, and so then the key message, which is the summary of the summary. That's just the overall, like, okay, what's the key takeaway of this? You can read that, Kim.
My true self, which is like an innocent child within me, longs for its true home beyond my restless search for contentment in the state of pure formless awareness, accepting my eternal innocence and letting go of my defensiveness, judgments, and attack thoughts will help me experience stillness and peace of mind consistently.
Yeah, it's very simple, actually. I mean, this is a very straightforward, simple message. He's just delivered it in a poetic, beautiful way, you know, child and the whole analogy. Because it gets our attention, it gets us to pay attention and focus, but it's the same message. You know, let go of these offensive, judgmental, and attacking thoughts, which are your defenses against the truth of who you are, and allow this, you know, innocence back into your mind. Accept that you're actually innocent, you're whole, you're perfect, you're complete. And in that completion, you find your peace of mind. You see, there's no longer any desire. If I'm whole and complete, why do I need anything? Why do I need to strive and stress and strain when I have everything? Okay, so
Thank you.
any other thoughts on that, on the lesson? Maybe just let's meditate on it, because it's really an experiential lesson. It's about actually experiencing the peace that comes from the stillness and the child within you. So we do a meditation on it now.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just before we do that, do you want to what are we now? 9:25. It's 10 your time. There is some text to do. It's quite a short text section today. I was going to do yesterday, but that's too long. It's 5 paragraphs. Do you want to stay after that and do it, either of you? Or call it a night?
I've just got to be up very early, so yeah.
You got to go.
I'll finish after this meditation. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right. Okay. So yeah, you drop off probably. So thanks. Thanks for joining. both of you. Good session.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed that, and hopefully see you in the week. Kim, I know you don't join much, but Elaine, your session tomorrow evening. At
great.
5, I think we'll start.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's do the med to wrap up the session. Okay, so this is a meditation on today's lesson 182. I'm going to meditate on the personalized executive summary and the key message. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, up your hands in your lap, or just have your hands on each thigh with your palms facing upwards. That makes you more comfortable. Close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle, that's the root lock in yoga. On the bandha, it's called, just lock the energy in. It's the muscle you use to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. It locks the energy in. You draw the energy up the spine with the breath into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. And then draw the energy up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. So that's the maximal inhale breath. So scan your mind, notice any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on. Breathe into all of those again. So you're breathing in spacious awareness. You notice anything that's out of accord with that. So any uncomfortable, unpleasant thoughts and emotions, feel into them, notice how they feel. Then just breathe into the feeling. So the breath just creates awareness. It brings in pure formless awareness. That's why in the ancient cultures, the breath and life and spirit are the same. And you breathe this essence of life in. And up the spine to the crown of your head fully, so it's a maximal inhale breath, and you remind yourself of key idea of today's lesson, that I am still and I go home. Still for a moment and I go home. In this moment, this wholly aware moment. I am home. I just feel all of this negate of the energy, thoughts and emotions that block your awareness of this home, releasing as you exhale. Imagine they're just leaving you like a dark cloud or black smoke out of your mind. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you rest. And just keep connected stillness and the breath as long as you can. And find depth of being beyond the body. It's uncomfortable. Just try and go beyond that. Transcend that in your awareness. And you can't hold it any longer, then just breathe in. So nice, smooth, rhythmical inhales and exhales. You have 4 counts. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. And then you exhale, 2, 3, 4. And go straight into the next inhale. So I'm just going to count to 4. Get into that nice deep rhythm of the breath. By focusing on the breath, you open your mind, create some space in your mind. It's mind and breath and life or awareness is synonymous because it creates more awareness, more openness to life itself, pure forms of awareness itself. So now I'm going to read you this personalized executive summary, today's lesson, and as I read you inhale and pause, you hold the breath briefly, and then when I pause, you're going to exhale out through your nose, and you're going to speak the words that I've just spoken. So you say these words as an affirmation, and put one hand on your heart center. Breathing in as I speak and out as you speak, and say the words aloud, ideally as affirmations of the truth. And they really, when you affirm them, they become yours. So breathing in, pause, hold the breath. So listen to these words from the personalized executive summary. So I feel out of place in this world and haunted by a memory of a true home that I can't quite recall. When you exhale, you repeat those words slowly, deliberately, there's no rush. Breathing in again. I have a faint yet persistent longing for the seemingly lost state. Exhale out through your nose. As you repeat those words, breathe in again through the nose. And I know that others experience this too, even if they deny or dismiss it. And exhale, repeat those words. Breathing in, Everyone is restlessly searching for contentment in this world. But all my attempts to create a substitute for the state of pure formless awareness result only in limited awareness. That is disturbing to my peace of mind. As you exhale, express that. Just in your own time, you to breathe as I inhale. And exhale out through your nose too. Speak the words. And breathing in. There is an eternal child within me. Which is my true self. That seeks to return to my source. Which is a state of innocence or grace. Breathe in again through your nose. This child desires to experience peace and unconditional love for its true home again. Which is within me as well. Breathe in again. Imagine you breathing in the very essence of what you're speaking of, innocence and the purity. Otherwise known as light, into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. And embrace this child, which is innocent, offers me its protection and guidance. And its patience is limitless. As it waits for me to recognize. And then again, I can experience moments of stillness. Breathe in that stillness. Fuse every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body in the stillness. You experience the stillness when the world recedes. On my awareness. And I hear this child's call. Return to the state of pure formless awareness. In which I am untouched by fear and doubt. Breathing in again. Breathe in this awareness. Breathe in the essence of stillness. resting in its true self. He hears this child's call to return to the state, pure formless awareness, which I'm untouched by fear and doubt. Resting in this true self also allows me to realize that I offer only unconditional love, allows me to offer only unconditional love and call everyone a friend, even those who think of me as an enemy. Feeling it again. So I choose to return to my true self. And let go of defenses and illusions. Go of my defenses and illusions. And again, I accept that I haven't lost my eternal innocence. And the longing I feel is a call that I cannot deny longer. I'm letting go of my defensiveness, judgments, and attack thoughts. Embracing my defenselessness. And follow the path of awakening. And find lasting peace of mind. So overall, key message of the section is that my true self breathe that self in, this peace that comes with it to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, part of your mind, every fiber of your being. It's like an innocent child, and it exists within me. And this child longs for its true home, beyond my restless search for contentment. In the state of pure formless awareness. Breathing again. And accepting my eternal innocence. And letting go of my defensiveness, judgments, and attack thoughts. Will help me experience stillness and peace of mind consistently. So it is. Translation of Amen. Amen. So it is. So be it. And so just rest in this deep peace that the lesson points to be still for a moment and go home. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still. Surrender into the stillness, silence. For a few moments, nowhere else to go. Just go home. Go home in these next few moments, extending into a couple of minutes. Experience peace of mind. Peace of God, as Paul the Apostle called it, that passes all understanding. Sinking inwards and watch the breath, breathing in and out through the nose, and just observe that. And with each breath, you go a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper with each breath too. Stillness, calm, quiet, peaceful place in the mind in which you come to know yourself. Any thoughts come in, seemingly disturb this deep peace you have, observe them. Breathe into them. Excellent inhale breath, you're breathing in deep peace, love, joy. Excellent inhale breath. Know yourself. I'm still for a moment and I go home. And you exhale, blowing it all out. the breeze of your breath, the nothingness that it really is. Going, gone. And rest for a few moments in the breathless stillness. Hold the breath. Just let it take you into a state beyond duality, beyond the breath, the eternal innocence that this lesson points to. Hold the breath for as long as you can. And can't anymore, just breathing in and out normally through the nose. And rest in the peace of God. Passes all understanding for another minute or two of deep, restful silence. So just gently coming back from this deep state of awareness. Just an awareness of the body, the breath, senses, and the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, breathing in. And see how the stomach rises and the chest rises. So that'll flow there in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind one more time. And so notice any thoughts, any emotions, related body sensations going on. Anything blowing through your mind, and just see it as that, just a cloud pattern. And then just blow the cloud away. Breathe with your breath. You exhale, you release, you say, I am still for this moment, and I go home. And in fact, I live in the eternal now moment, so every moment I'm still. At every moment I am home. So on the count of 2, you notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling, your hands touching. There's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose as you breathe in. Again, notice that smell, notice what you're hearing, but without judgment. Notice all these things without naming, judging, labeling. And just connecting with this underlying awareness, ground of being, base reality, whatever you want to call it, that underlies all of your perceptions. It's always there. This is the innocent child this lesson talked about. Awareness of this base reality. It's the innocent child in you that directs you to go home, back, turn home to this awareness. And it's going to stay in this awareness, stay rooted in it for the rest of the evening. It'll carry you to bed, to a deep sleep, and on into your week ahead. So it is said and so it is done. And now on the count of 3, just open your eyes. So just take a few moments to look around, just observing various objects in the room around you. In this clear, calm state of awareness. Don't judge anything, don't name it or label it, just observe. Notice that the peace that you experience hopefully quite deeply in the last 30 odd minutes is still there. You can close your eyes as you experience that peace and you open them. Look at different objects and notice it's the same awareness, the same peace. It doesn't really matter whether your eyes are closed or open or which object you're looking at. It's the same peace. That's the fundamental lesson. Same underlying peace. It's there in your awareness. Always, no matter what seems to be happening on the level of form. And so stay rooted in this peace the rest of the evening and on into your week. So it is. So that brings us to the end of for meditation and tonight's session. So thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Thanks, Jono. I'll say good night and namaste. Okay.
Namaste. Okay, let's
Namaste.
speak soon. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Let me know if you want to have a chat about the investment stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Night, Jono. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Joining. Bye-bye. All right. So thank you to Kim and Elaine for joining. If you enjoyed the session, subscribe to the channel and do join us for our next masterclass, which you can access the ALG.com register, and you can join us for one of these sessions. Generally, I run it on Sunday, so let's go and register and join us. I look forward to seeing you on the inside. Namaste, which means the peace in me acknowledges and honors that same peace in you.